Every day when you log into ChumbaCasino.com, the ultimate online social casino, you get a free daily bonus. Imagine if you got daily bonuses in other parts of your life.
I chose French fries over loaded French fries.
I asked Stuart from accounting about his weekend, even though I don't care.
I updated my operating system without having to call tech support.
Collect your free daily bonus at ChumbaCasino.com now. And live the Chumba life. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right, good evening and welcome to WSBI, your Resource for Success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, CEO and founder of the Women's Small Business Initiative, LLC, and an award-winning author. And welcome to another night of sharing. With us, we have special guest Michelle Seiler Tucker. Michelle Seiler Tucker is the founder and CEO of Seiler Tucker Incorporated. She holds the Merger and Acquisitions Master Intermediary title, as well as the Certified Mergers and Acquisitions Professional and Certified Senior Business Analyst. Michelle also owns many other businesses in several different industries. As a 20-year veteran in the M&A industry, she is regarded as the leading authority on buying, selling, fixing, and growing businesses. Her and her firm have sold over 1,000 businesses in almost every vertical and have a remarkable track record of success. She is the best-selling author of the book Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth and has a new book out called Exit Rich. So without further ado, please help me welcome to my platform, Miss Michelle Seiler Tucker. How you doing, Michelle?
I'm doing good. How are you, Kimberly?
I am doing great. Again, I am so glad to have you on the show. We have been trying to do this now for, I know it's been several months. I think we even reached out and tried to get on here last year. So I'm excited to hear what you're going to be talking about to the listeners. And before we get started, Michelle, could you please tell the listeners just a little bit more about who Michelle Seiler Tucker really is?
Sure. So who am I? I'm not sure. So Michelle Seiler Tucker, I've been in mergers and acquisitions for a little over 20 years. We specialize in buying, selling, fixing, growing companies. I have sold personally about 500 companies. My firm altogether, we've done over 1,000 transactions in pretty much every single vertical you can imagine. We don't just sell businesses, we buy businesses and flip them. We also partner with business owners, investing my money, core competencies, resources, and we really put them on a build-to-sell model, fix their business, build their business, and plan their exit and sell their company within 3 to 5 years. So we've helped many business owners retire rich, and I'm an author of 3 different books. My latest one is Exit Rich, and my co-author on that book is Sharon Lecter. I'm also an international speaker and an entrepreneur. I own many different businesses, and I'm building my businesses to exit as well. So that's me. I'm a Mergers and Acquisitions Master Intermediary, Senior Business Analyst, Certified Mergers and Acquisitions Professional, and a bunch of other acronyms behind my name.
Wow. You are a busy lady. I mean, to hear your accolades and everything you've accomplished is amazing. But let's backtrack and talk a little bit more about your personal story and how you got started. What really inspired you to just get into business, period?
I think, what inspired me, even, as a little girl, I knew I wanted to grow up differently. We didn't have a lot. We came from really nothing. We were pretty poor growing up, and I always knew that I wanted to be my own boss. I knew I didn't want to work for someone else, and I knew I wanted to create my own destiny and create my own future. So I think my childhood really is what inspired me to be successful. And as a little girl, I always told my mom I'm never going to work for anybody. And the main reason for that is because I don't like to be told what to do. So I don't really make a very good employee. I'm a better employer than I am an employee. Mm-hmm. And I just knew I didn't want to suffer, and I didn't want to, I didn't want to live. I don't want to, stay in a situation that I grew up in. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what really inspired me to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're not just successful, you're a powerhouse, to, like I said, have all that. I mean, I'm sitting here listening just to you talk, and like I said, and just knowing and reviewing what you've accomplished. I mean, that's just not being a boss. You are a total powerhouse. And, to hear your story and to think at such a young age that you realize that this is not what I want to do. This is not who I am. I'm not good at listening. I've got to work for myself. That takes somebody pretty special to have that instant gratification of thinking, you know what, I'm not even going to bother working for anybody else because I already know who I am. So talk a little bit about the journey as you started to get into think about doing business. Obviously, you've got a lot of titles and acquisitions behind you and certifications behind you. Did you go through college first, or did you just start really jumping into the industry and then went from there?
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, "Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody." Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back, and we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this, everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
It was a little bit of both. I owned small businesses at a very young age. I did go to college and own small businesses at the same time. I did also go to work for corporate America. I went to work for a Fortune 500 company called Xerox.
Oh, gosh,
and Xerox actually recruited me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Xerox actually recruited me. So I went to work for Xerox, and within 6 months, they promoted me to regional vice president, overseeing 100 salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I got in that position, I'm like, why am I here? Always said I'm not going to be an employee. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to work for somebody. And I really didn't, I like management. I like leadership. I love the art of the deal. I love selling. I love creating relationships that last a lifetime. I don't like leadership and management in a Fortune 500 company because I'm a problem solver. I'm like, okay, here's a problem, here's a solution.
Right.
And in corporate America, you're like, okay, here's a problem, and then you got to bounce it off the head of 50 other people who take forever to come up with a solution, and then nobody makes a decision.
Right.
So I just really didn't like leadership and management for corporate America, so I ended up transitioning out of Xerox into franchise sales, franchise development, franchise consulting. Mm-hmm. So I started my own franchise sales development consulting company, and I had equity in different franchisors' businesses. And I had so many buyers, though, that kept coming to me and asking me for existing businesses. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, that's not what we do, I work with startup franchises. And I finally said one day, why do I keep saying no? I need to listen to what the consumers are asking for.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And give them what they're asking for. And really, a little over 20 years ago, that's what inspired me to start my mergers and acquisitions firm, is because the demand was so great for existing businesses versus startups.
Wow. And
that's why I transitioned out of franchising into M&A.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting how you're talking about it, because I would have thought that, franchising would be easier to some degree because it gives a business person who's new coming into it everything that they need without having to worry about, well, how do I start this and how do I find this and how do I lay this out? And then to hear that people really want to come in and purchase a business that's already existing, that's very interesting, because I would think that when you're purchasing a business that's existing, there comes more of a headache. So, what is the myth about that? Is that true or not?
Actually,
so true?
It's not really more of a headache. It's less of a headache to buy an existing business. It's more of a headache to do a startup or to do a startup franchise. And the reason why it's less of a headache to buy an existing business is because an existing business, many of them are operating on the 6 Ps, the 6 cylinders that I talk about in my book, Exit Rich. And they might not be operating on all 6 cylinders. They might only be operating on 3 or 4, but they're operating on more than a business that's never been in business. So they've got their people in place, right? They got their people in place. They've got their management team. They got the right people in the right seats. They're in a product or industry that's thriving, not dying. They got their processes all buttoned up. They have the proprietary assets protected. They have patrons where they have diversified clientele versus customer concentration. They have profits, which is the 6P. When you go into a startup, you don't have any of that.
Exactly.
You have to start all of that from scratch. And even a startup franchise, it's a cookie-cutter operation. Even with a startup franchise, you still have to go out there and find the people. You still have to train them. You still have to get the right people in the right seats. You still have to build your management team. You still got to, get your processes in line. So a startup is so much more difficult than buying an existing business.
Yeah, but of course, obviously, at one point, though, they all were startups. But like you said, if they got their I's dotted and their T's crossed and everything is moving.
But an existing business has people in place. It has a management team.
True.
It has built-in clients. It's got money already rolling in.
Right. Absolutely.
The hard work has been done. It might need some creative juices flowing through it. It might need to innovate some. But a lot of the heavy lifting has already been done. It's always better to buy an existing business than to start a business.
Wow. Could you repeat that again so the listeners are hearing what you're saying? Because we're in this system, of that instant gratification, and people automatically believe that, well, I'm going to start something new, and not realizing that what you're really doing is not so much new, but it's really how you deliver it. So talk about that again. I mean, I just love what you're saying, because it's like, you're singing my tune over here. It's like, wow.
Okay, what part do you want me to repeat? Sorry.
Repeat what you just said about the importance of why it's important to buy an existing business again.
Yeah, so the reason why it's so important to buy an existing business than to start one from scratch is because a lot of existing businesses already are operating on all 6 cylinders, all 6 Ps. They have their people in place. Their product is thriving, not dying. They have their processes buttoned up. They have the proprietary assets, all protected and in place, like patents and trademarks and databases. And they have, patrons coming to their business, and they're profitable. An existing business already has things figured out. When you go and start a business or start a franchise, you're starting from scratch. You're going to have to go out, and if it's brick and mortar, you're going to have to go out and find that location. You're going to have to do your due diligence. You're going to have to do market research to make sure that the neighborhood can support your business. You're going to have to place ads, write job descriptions, interview, hire, try to get the right people in the right seats. And the most difficult thing in any business is people. It's getting the right people in your business. And so, and then you've got to get your processes. You've got to write your policy and procedure manuals. You've got to write your SOP checklist. You got to train everybody on such. I mean, there's just so many things that go into starting a business versus buying an existing business that's already profitable, that already has a built-in client base, that already has employees in place.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of times you can buy an existing business for less expensive than what it would cost you to start one. Because when you start a business, it always costs you more than what you think it's going to cost, especially on brick and mortar.
Right.
And most business owners go into a business undercapitalized. They always have less working capital than what's actually needed. When you buy an existing business, the working capital is already there because it's already an ongoing concern. It's already generating revenue, so the working capital is already there to continue to run that business. A startup, most business owners always underestimate the amount of working capital they need to sustain themselves.
Right. Wow. I mean, this is deep. I hope that my listeners are truly, truly, truly hearing what you're saying, because what you just said was, and I've had you say it twice because it's so profound, and people really do need to have the understanding of how hard it is to start a new business, because everybody wants to be a business owner, but they truly don't understand what really goes into that. So let me ask though, when you're working with your clientele, you're only working with people who are brick and mortar versus today there's so many people. Okay.
No, we work with everybody. So we work, so we're industry agnostic. We pretty much sell businesses in every single vertical you can imagine. We sell SaaS businesses. We sell e-commerce businesses. We sell a lot of online businesses that don't have brick and mortar. But like I said, we sell businesses in pretty much every industry you can imagine.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's amazing. So when you have a client, possible client that may come to you and they're looking to sell, but they need some tweaking to do, talk a little bit about how that process may work so that they can be better prepared to sell and come out ahead of the game.
So when we work with business owners to get their business ready to sell, we work with them several ways. First and foremost, we work with their mindset.
Really?
Yeah. We're psychologists too.
Oh my goodness! Look, you need to get another title and another degree, okay?
We really work with business owners and kind of, walk them through what we call the seller's sanity check, and really, take them on a journey to figure out why do they want to sell in the first place? Why are they wanting to sell? How much do they need to sell their business for? What is their beginning strategy? If we don't help business owners figure out what they're going to do next, what they're going to do in their beginning strategy, then they'll never follow through on their exit strategy.
True. That makes sense.
So we really help them determine, what are you trying to accomplish? What's your objective? How much are you trying to sell your business for? And what do you want to do next? And then we take them through, really prioritizing what's the most important thing to them. Is it the purchase price? Is it how much they walk away with? Is it making sure that somebody's going to take care of their employees, somebody who's going to take care of their clients, or is it somebody who's going to really grow their legacy, or all of the above? So we really prioritize what's most important to them during the sale of their business. And, if they're wanting, $5 million for their company, Kimberly, and their business is only worth $2 million,
right.
Well, then we have a lot of work to do to bridge that gap. So we have to really dig deep and find out, okay, why do you want $10 million? And it's only worth $2 million. Maybe they don't need $10 million. Maybe their perception is incorrect of what they feel like they need to live on for the rest of their life.
Right.
So we help them budget. We sit down and look at their financials, look at, okay, how old are you, how much do you need per month, how many years are you expected to live, kind of like a financial advisor does, right?
Right.
And then we have resources and tax advisors, and we work with the First Sales Trust, which we can put the money of the sale of the business in a tax-deferred trust, and they can not pay capital gains and live off the 6% or 8% of that trust for the rest of their life.
Wow.
So we really walk through, like I said, the philosophy, psychology, why they're wanting to sell, what are they trying to accomplish, how much money do they need, etc. Then once we figure that out, then we help them bridge that gap. So if they really want $10 million, it's worth $2 million, we take them through what I call the 6 Ps, and we make sure that they have the proper infrastructure in place because...
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody. Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back, and we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this, everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
A business is never going to be profitable if they're not operating on all the other 5 Ps, which is the people, products, processes, proprietary, and patrons. So we work with them to strengthen their weakest Ps and really build upon that infrastructure so that they can grow their business. Make sense?
Makes sense to me. Yeah, I mean, just sit here and just listening. I mean, you are giving out some true, as I call, pink nuggets tonight. You are telling people exactly what they need to do in a quick, short form, but it just makes sense. And like I said, there's so many people out here who want to be business owners, but they really don't want to put the time or effort in and don't understand what it truly takes. And to hear your story and to hear what you're doing for those who are willing to move themselves forward in their business so that they can come out profitable at the end. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, I could sit here, we could talk about this all night, to be honest with you, because you are, a mind full of wealth here. I mean, you just got so much to share with everybody. But I want to dive a little bit into your being an author. I mean, I'm an author, and I always enjoy having the opportunity to talk to other amazing authors. So tell the listeners a little bit more about your first book, the one that we're talking here, Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth. Talk a little bit about that.
So I wrote Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth in 2013. And I wrote Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth because I had been in the industry for over 13 years and nobody knew who I was and what I do.
Really?
Because selling the business is really... Yeah, because selling the business is like the best kept secret. It's not like selling real estate.
True.
We can't go out there and brag about it. We can't say, oh, I sold that business, for $10 million, because it's all confidential. If it's private companies, we're not allowed to speak about that business unless we have everybody's permission in writing to do so.
Wow.
So I was really the best kept secret, so I decided to write Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth to let people know who I am and what I do. So I did it for exposure. I also wrote the book to educate business people that there's a better way to sell your company. Never hire a real estate agent to sell your business. And because a lot of business owners don't even know what a business broker does or what an M&A advisor does. And so I really wrote the book to educate business owners on what we do and how you go about selling your company.
Well, I'll be darned. Wow. I didn't even know that, sitting here listening to what you're saying, but it makes sense too about the real estate side of it. But I had no idea that once a company's doing so that, like I said, just not something you can just talk about without their permission. And that's very important to know, especially for those businesses who are at that level, like I said, who are thinking about getting to that point where they, hey, I want to let this go. I don't want to do this anymore. And I want to start thinking about my exit to retirement, real retirement. So to have that information available is important. So talk about the Exit Rich book.
So Exit Rich is my third book, and I decided to write Exit Rich in 2019 because the business landscape has really changed dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it used to be, when I wrote my very first book in 2013, that 95% of all startups would go out of business. So within those first 1 to 5 years, it was extremely risky for startups.
Mm-hmm.
But when I did the research for Exit Rich, I learned that the business landscape has actually flip-flopped. Now it's only 30% of startups will go out of business. Only 30%. So startups are not at great risk anymore.
Wow.
It's the existing business owners that are at great risk. So out of 27.6 million companies, those businesses that have been in business for 10 years or longer, 70% of them are going out of business. 70%. So you see how it flip-flopped. It used to be that, gosh, if you're in business over 10 years, you're going to be in business forever. Well, that's not the case anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you listen to the media, you hear stories like Toys R Us in business 75 years goes out of business. Kmart, Steinmart, Pier 1.
Mm-hmm.
Disney stores are closing. Godiva Chocolate is closing down 1,500 locations. GNC is closing down 900 locations. But the media doesn't talk about the private businesses that are exiting poor, selling for pennies on the dollar, closing a business, or even worse, filing bankruptcy. So I wrote Exit Rich to really educate business owners about why it's so imperative that to really build your business with a solid infrastructure on the 6 Ps, and to always innovate and market, because the number one reason that these business owners are going out of business after being in business 10 years is because of lack of aim. Aim is always innovate and market. They stop innovating, they stop marketing.
Right.
That's why they're going out of business. And the other reason I wrote Exit Rich is because Steve Forbes, who endorsed Exit Rich, says 80% of businesses will never sell. That's a pretty startling statistic for business owners, and that's like a huge wake-up call.
Right.
That means you have less than a 20% chance of selling your business.
Wow.
Most business owners will never sell their business. And the reason for that, there's so many reasons why businesses are not sellable, but the biggest reason is because most business owners never think about their exit strategy. They never plan for the sale of their business until they wake up one day and say, oh, my gosh, I'm getting divorced. I have to sell my business. Oh, my gosh, I was just diagnosed with cancer. I have to sell my business. They don't think about selling their business until an internal or external catastrophic event has occurred. Internal is like the divorce, partner disputes, health issues, death. You know, external is this pandemic that we've been in for the last year and a half. You can't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to sell my business for $5 million, because guess what? Your business is probably not sellable. You probably did not build a sellable business that someone actually wants to buy. Because most business owners have built a job, a glorified job that they go to work at every day versus a business that actually works for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was just getting ready to ask you, so how was 2020 for the majority of these businesses, knowing the statistics the way they were, and things literally put people at a halt for a while there?
Well, 2020 was, look, 2020, it depends on how you look at things. If you look at things half empty or half full.
Right.
Because, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are really taken, I don't want to say taken advantage of, but they're out there taking advantage of opportunities. They're out there seeing opportunities, acting on the opportunities, taking massive action, and really making millions, if not billions. And then you have the flip side of that, where you have people who are closing up, selling for pennies on the dollar, filing bankruptcy because they don't see any hope. You follow me?
Right, yes.
It's kind of like the Great Depression. There's so many people that went out of business and filed bankruptcy in the Great Depression, but then look how many millionaires there were that came out of the Great Depression. Same thing with 2020. You're going to have more millionaires, billionaires that come out of 2020 than ever before. So it really goes back to what's your perspective? How do you how do you respond to things? How do you look at things? How do you view things? You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's been more millionaires and billionaires in the last year that we probably have heard of in many, many years. So it really does come to a perspective of what are you really trying to do and accomplish, and we hear a lot of people complain about what it is that they're not doing, and they're looking for people to pull them up and out of a hole that they've created. And a big part of it is because most people are never prepared for anything. So you definitely hit that right on the head of the nail there. So we're getting close to the end, and I'm just like I said, I could talk to you all night about this. This is such great information. But I have one last question for you before you tell us how we can get a hold of you. When you have a person who is looking to come into business, period, just give your overall perspective and advice of what they should be doing.
When you're looking to start a business or buy a business?
Start one.
Which start one?
Start or buy.
Okay.
You can kind of give your input of what you think, advice you would like to give anybody who's in business.
So I'll give you my advice on both really quickly. So if you're looking at buying a business, and you've never owned a business before, you really got to look at your finances and figure out what you can afford. It's kind of like when you go buy a house. You get qualified, right? Mm-hmm. You get qualified to see, okay, do you afford a house from $250,000 to $500,000? Can you afford a house from $500,000 to $1 million? Same thing with a business. You have to get qualified. You have to figure out how much money do you have that you can put down on the business. And are you willing to pull the trigger and actually spend that money? Because I've worked with a lot of first-time buyers, and, a lot of them don't even know how much money they can afford to put down.
Right.
But a lot of them are like, well, I can put this much down, and they'll never really pull the trigger. So you got to really get crystal clear on your finances. What are you comfortable putting down? Can you borrow the rest? Get really comfortable about what size of business you can afford to buy. Mm-hmm. And then really focus on what are your strengths? What are your strengths? What are your core competencies? What do you do better than everybody else? And what are you passionate about? What do you like to do? Now, just because you like restaurants and you don't have any experience in restaurants doesn't mean you should own a restaurant, right?
Right. Exactly.
So you want to make sure, and also make sure you align yourself with a merger and acquisitions advisor or business broker, because a really good one can help you determine what your financial capability is. They can help you determine your strengths versus your weaknesses, and it can really help be that matchmaker between you and the perfect business. Mm-hmm. Don't try to do it alone, because most businesses are listed with M&A advisors or business brokers. So you really want to go to them because you really want to make sure that the financials check out, that the business is evaluated correctly. As far as starting a business, one of the reasons why so many startups went out of business before is because so many people would go to leave corporate America and they would say, gosh, I've always been passionate about coffee shops. I'm going to go start a coffee shop.
Right.
But they really want to do their due diligence. So they would start a coffee shop when there's like 10 other coffee shops in a mile radius. Mm-hmm. So there's not enough demographics. There's not enough people to support another coffee shop. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when you're going to start a business, make sure it's different. Make sure it's unique. The reason why startups are not going out of business as much as they were before is because you have more millennials and Gen Z starting businesses before now more so than ever before. And these millennials are not going and starting a brick and mortar. They're going and starting an online business, an e-commerce business. They're looking at what the problems are, and they're becoming solution-oriented. And they're starting businesses to solve problems. And that's what you need to do. You need to look at what's the problems, how can I solve it, and start your business doing that. We don't need more coffee shops. We don't need more ice cream stores. We don't need more restaurants.
Exactly.
We need solution-oriented type businesses.
Exactly.
So, and then do your due diligence. Make sure you're not undercapitalized. Make sure you have enough working capital. But I always say, unless you've got a brilliant idea, it's better to buy an existing business than it is to start one.
All right. Wow. Well.
And then you can also buy an existing business and bring your ideas, bring your innovative ideas and your innovative problem solution ideas to that business that you're buying. Just because you're buying somebody else's business doesn't mean you can't make it your own.
Exactly. All right. Well, Michelle, this has been a phenomenal conversation and a wealth of information. And like I said, for those listeners, if you have not listened, you definitely are not paying attention, and you definitely are doing the wrong thing. You shouldn't be in business if you're not listening to Michelle, because I'm telling you, the information that you just poured out, there's no way that you can fail if you did not listen to this. I mean, it's just, like I said, you got a great amount of information that you shared with us this evening. We are very appreciative of that. And Michelle, we are definitely getting down to the end of the show. Before you leave us, please tell us, for those who may be interested in learning more about purchasing a business and, trying to get out exit that rich portion of their business, please tell us how we can get a hold of you.
Sure. So for anyone who wants to contact me, you can go to SeilerTucker.com. That's SeilerTucker.com. As far as Exit Rich, just to tell you a little bit about Exit Rich, is endorsed by Steve Forbes, who said Exit Rich is a goldmine for entrepreneurs as they leave way too much money on the table when they go to sell their business. Kevin Harrington, the original Shark on Shark Tank, wrote the foreword. My very good friend Les Brown, who I love and adore, wrote a glowing testimonial. And Sharon Lecter is my co-author, who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. So Exit Rich, you can buy on Amazon. You can buy at your favorite bookstore. You can also go to exitrichbook.com. Okay. At exitrichbook.com, we have lots of bonuses. So for $24.79 plus shipping, we will email the digital download to your email. We will send the hardcover to your doorstep. We'll give you a lifetime membership into the Exit Rich Book Club, or you'll receive video content of me doing deep dives and different strategies and techniques I've been teaching for the last 20 years in the trenches to business owners, plus documents to run your business, documents to sell your company. We have sample employee handbooks, operational manuals, policy and procedure manuals. To sell your business, we have sample letter of intent, purchase agreements, due diligence checklists, closing documents, and more. Kimberly, these documents to operate and sell your business will cost you over $50,000 if you want an attorney to recreate. They're there for your download and your review. Plus, we'll give you a 30-day membership into Club CEOs, and this is an entrepreneurship mastermind. And this mastermind will really help business owners pivot and really build that sustainable, scalable, and sellable business, all at exitrichbook.com.
All right. Well, like I said, you guys have heard it all live here. Michelle, again, thank you so much for your time and all the information you shared with us. Tell you guys, if you did not listen, you just don't need to be listening to this podcast, because you're just wasting your time if you did not hear what she just said. We got a lot of great insight about the purpose of buying, selling, fixing, and growing your business and what you need to do. And that always leads me to ask people, what do you wish existed for you? So if you are in this thought process and you need the help, if you want to reach out to me, you can do so. I will make sure that you get Michelle's information if you aren't listening properly here or you're just overwhelmed. And of course, if you want to just talk about what your dreams and how to turn those dreams into goals, reach out to me at Kimberly, WSBILC@gmail.com, and we'll have that conversation so we can get you moving forward. And as always, like I said, I thank you all for listening to the show tonight. And also, please donate to support the podcast. We have a Cash App available, or you can go directly to the website at www.wsbilc.com. And again, we'll be back next week with more amazing guests. Be sure to follow us on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcast. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evening and good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank
we will
you.
be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.wsbillc.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
People are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. The hiring process can be slow and overwhelming. Simplify hiring with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. With over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. That's Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Terms and conditions apply.